What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of the Ignite Your Purpose show and podcast and vlog with yours truly and my main man, Mr. Healthy Funky Free, Johnny B from the Isle of Man. John,
Yeah, man.
what are we yapping about on episode 56?
Well. We are beginning our little health, nutrition kind of series and section of subjects, and we're just going to drop a little knowledge of what we know and what we do and what we believe is right for us and each other, and what the market says. So today's subject was going to be supplements versus real food. But we could
That's a great
go
one.
way down the rabbit hole, a massive subject, and we could speak for hours. So I thought we'd kind of dial it right back, and we're going to talk about protein supplements. And by that, I mean protein powder, and whether that is a dairy, wheat based version or a plant based, pea based protein version, or just eating burgers or steak or cheese or whatever it is you think you can get your
Or just,
protein
yeah,
from.
food. Nice.
Um, so, certain things like, and I'll just kind of set the tone and then Max can dive in, it's pervasive. It's everywhere. It's written on every packet you see in every store. Protein, protein, protein. Get your protein. Get your protein. Here's your protein. Here's your plant-based protein. Here's your whey protein, and it's everywhere. And I'm wondering who says that we need this, and certainly as an individual, what dictates whether I need it. And for me, that's dictated by my weight, which sets my activity level, which sets my basal metabolic rate, and off that, then you can add on to that your calorific needs due to your work, your exercise, just moving about throughout the day, and therefore you can calculate the amount of protein you need. But then you need to look at how much am I getting versus how much do I need? What happens with the excess? Is it good or is it bad? So Max, you can give us a few ideas on that, then I'll sort of say something.
This is absolutely perfect time for me and for our community and listeners because, as I always say, A comes to self awareness, and B, we're always learning. So, if you had to ask me that question 8 months ago, I would have told you, I don't think I need much protein, and that would be based off my body type, my blood type, my size, and my age, and as well as my physical activity. Now we're 8 months down the road. My other half and myself are on a whole new understanding of certain things. So if we took a pie chart before, right, big circle pie chart, I would say the smallest sliver of that pie chart, I would maybe put in 10% I was eating would be protein.
Yep.
So due to my physical size, my body type and all that, which is I think an ectomorph, I believe, I can't, don't
Yep.
quote me on that, but I'm a small dude. Was so my main food intake was carbs and fats, right? Now, but here's the thing. I am physically active all day. I train for a lot with martial arts, CrossFit, weightlifting, right? And so I'm breaking down and ripping muscle. So I am now considering and have been studying how to implement more protein into my diet. And some of that, because I am not a red meat eater, and or I'm going to start reintroducing some small amounts of fish and maybe chicken into my diet, but I am looking into clean plant-based and or clean what do they call it, meat-based, that's not correct, but whey-based proteins. Clean. I don't believe in the mass-produced shit. I believe in the smallest batches made by like the smallest fat manufacturers, and there's one here in Canada, one in the States I'm looking into right now. um, but that is where I am at. So mainly coming from whole plant based, my what I'm putting into my mouth, and I
Yep.
am, because I can't eat that much during a day, like we're talking about calorific intake and your proteins and all that, I will probably, because I don't eat massive amounts of meat, have to supplement with a powder on my shakes. And that's where I'm at.
A dairy-based powder or a plant-based powder?
More than likely plant-based. There is one I'm looking at, and I don't want to say meat-based because that's incorrect, but it would be animal-based. I guess is that maybe correct?
Yeah.
So I'm going back and forth, and that's only because of the actual, would you call it the chemical makeup of protein to fat to carbohydrate.
Okay.
So it's something I'm studying currently. But I will say this, because I believe that for how active I am and how much I was breaking down my body, I was not eating enough protein. Having said that, if I was the same height, the same size, and I just went on a walk once a day and did yoga, did sweet F all, I probably could live just vegan. And I probably would not need very much protein because I'm not breaking down my body. I am not needing to rebuild it because I'm not very physically active. Well, if I was on the opposite side. My thoughts.
Playing devil's advocate here, the first question I would ask is, how much were you getting? How much are you getting?
Dude,
I don't measure.
From what I've been told, for my weight size, like my weight is about 125, right? I'm about 5'5", 5'6". I was supposed to be getting what the typical thing was, which would be a little different, but 1 gram of protein per 1 pound of weight, right? So I'm supposed to be getting into the 100 to 125 grams of protein per day, correct? That's the typical thing. I probably might have been getting 40 to 50 grams in a day.
Okay, right, well.
And the rest, again, being carbs and fats.
Yeah, the numbers vary from a sort of sedentary person. The latest I looked at was 0.6 of a gram of protein per kilogram, 2.2 to the pound. And then if you're kind of athletic, they say maybe 0.8. And then if you're getting more into the bodybuilding type, they talk, or they have spoken about up to 1 gram of protein per kilogram body weight. So you can work it out from there. But sort of just coming from Cornell University in New York State at the moment, and from the World Health Organization and the big American people, can't remember what they're called, it's gone. 5 to 10% of your calorific intake. So for myself, I'm about 2,000 calories a day, which puts me 40 to 50 grams of protein, which isn't a lot. Now, the thing to kind of to look at, I've got a few notes here that I've kind of made. I made up the question, so I've made some notes. Is latest research says 5 to 10% of calories come from protein. So 2,000 calories would be 40 to 50 grams. But to my knowledge, and to lots of other scientists and researchers and doctors' knowledges, there has never, ever been a recorded case of protein deficiency ever, not even bodybuilders, unless it is due to malnutrition, and that might be a calorific deficiency. You're just not eating enough food, full stop, or you're out in the middle of Africa and you don't get food. So that's one thing. And another sort of comment that popped into my head is whenever we look at sort of whole foods, for instance, only ever is a small proportion of that food a protein. 80% of whatever it might be protein, and that's because nature has designed. That's because nature has designed it because it can only deal with a certain amount of protein at any one point. Looking at when we need protein the most when we're doubling in weight. And that happens when we're a baby. And if we look at human breast milk, only 5% protein. So there's all sorts of small triggers to say, well, actually, I may not need as much as I need. But then you'll only know that if you stop and you go, right, what's my basal metabolic rate? It's this, that's 1,800 calories a day. How much activity am I doing today? I'm doing an hour or 2 hours. Okay, that's X amount of calories a day. okay, on top of that, how much just moving around from a day job, right? Okay, I need 2,800 calories a day. Okay, from that, 10% is this, 280 calories, 300 calories. That's 4 grams of carbs, 4 calories per gram of protein. And then you can work it back and you think, well, I have my chia seed pudding in the morning with my cacao, my banana. That's 400 calories, okay? And then you can start working out how much you're getting to have an idea if you're deficient or not. So that's that. What else am I looking at? And I was just thinking about the protein business. It's a
Oh
multi-billion
yeah.
dollar business. And it wasn't that long ago in life that we started looking at things in the macro sense, as in proteins, fats, and carbs. Prior to that, we just ate food.
Exactly.
And we didn't even think about it.
And real food at that.
We just ate energy. I'm going to eat this and it gives me energy, and my body is operating as it should be. You know, a lot of it is because it wasn't particularly thought about with from any kind of industry. There's a study I don't know if I'll be able to find the link, but it was saying there's some suggestions now that growth from protein that's derived from cattle. So we're basically talking a whey-based protein. The muscle growth you get from that is not from the protein itself, but from the human growth hormone and steroids that are pumped into these cattle. That was, you know, that's another rabbit hole to go down. But
Yeah,
it was interesting.
I would agree with that. I mean, and hence where I said, you got to source where you're getting stuff from, man. Like if you're getting something that's commercially made in China, sky's the limit, brother. You might not even be getting protein. You might just be getting scraps off the floor of God only knows what, right?
Yeah.
But
Sorry,
if you're sourcing clean, it's sorry, I'm just yep. Go ahead.
so I'm just plugging in, buddy.
Oh,
Um, and then there's some, if I see a study tomorrow that says meat protein's the best thing ever, I'll be back on it if I think I need it for my athletic performance. But I'm a plant-based athlete, 100k runs, Ironman, and I do it on plant-based nutrition. With dairy, for me, dairy contains a lot of IGF-1, which is insulin-like growth factor 1, which has been highly attributed to it creates growth, but it increases or stimulates the growth of mutated cells, which can lead to an increased likelihood of cancer in later life. So that's a big one, and we know through freaking 50-year study that casein, IGF-1, they can switch on and off cancer growth within sort of the lab situation. So it's just a lot of things to think about when you're looking at something that's been extracted from its natural source to a supplement source. I think that's about all I've got from here for now.
I think again, I mean, I will be testing on myself as I always do, and like I said, currently, because I mean, there's a whole rabbit hole to go into as well as we age. People, you need to be read any science, read any study. At some point, you need to do push-ups. You need to do squats, and you should be doing some type of, whether it's resistance training or weight training. It is a must. People, and I run into this all the time, man. I see women who are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who come into a class, and I'm not just talking CrossFit here. I'm talking just into the gym. Who, man, they can hold some amazing poses, man, but they have no core strength. They can't even do a push-up. If you don't find a problem in that, I mean, that's a whole rabbit hole we can go into.
Yeah.
But hence where you need to start. I mean, if you're going to repair your body, you got to source the food you're eating.
Yeah.
So I don't care if you are a meat eater or not a meat eater. I mean, I know so many vegans who go to these stores and buy vegan foods that are fucking chock full of shit. You know what I'm saying? It boggles my mind. So whether we're talking meat or non-meat, source your foods. That's probably step one, because what's in them now is not what was in them in the past, right?
Simply exercise can stimulate your own human growth hormone.
Yes.
Um, Emma and I, we've been there's an Ironman buddy of mine who's he tried going down the plant-based vegan route last year, but failed massively because he tried to go from nothing to 100% overnight.
Yeah.
So we've been preparing his breakfasts and juices and smoothies and lunches and snacks for a couple of weeks now. And sort of, after a week, the
Nice.
first 10 days, he was saying, "Man, I feel incredible. My swim set last night was incredible. I feel amazing." And then he woke up one night or one morning, and he felt like he had a cold coming on, which may have been a healing crisis. It's
Yep.
it can help the body starts getting the good stuff in. The liver and the kidneys can then start processing all the crap out of the system. And his instant answer was, "I'm not getting enough protein." And so typical that we started looking at, well, what have we been giving him? Chia seeds there, and 100%, there's more than enough protein that he was getting. We said, "You're not protein deficient. You may be calorically deficient because we're giving you enough food just for your daily life, and John's not training, so you may need
No.
to give him more food."
Yeah.
But it's not
If he's
deficient.
not training, then yeah.
But after that, the question then popped in. I said, "Why do we always go straight to the protein? Why is it? Are you getting enough sleep? How's your hydration? Have you
Yeah.
stretched? What's your stress like? What's your fluid like?" And there are all these other factors which may contribute to why you're not performing without it necessarily being a lack of protein. I think in
And
99% of the cases, it's highly unlikely to be, although I'm sure there are circumstances. Please bear in mind, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a physicist. This is just my experience and the
yeah.
research.
I can back what you just set up. I've again the amount of time I've been doing this, I've seen so many people who have, and some of them have joined us on our juice cleanses when we go to our little spot in the bush, and they get euphoric for a couple of days, and the problem being is if you've never cleansed, right, and you go from eating, and I'm going to go to extreme here, but you go from eating McDonald's 24/7, and I
Yeah.
hate to plug McDonald's, right, to then eating some fruits and juices, you're going to be on a high, but you know what? Your body still is not repairing itself yet, so you're going to crash at some point. And people
Yeah.
think that, okay, I'm vegetarian now. Actually, I was having a conversation with a lady who's been vegetarian and vegan for 20 years. She seems to be doing okay. Um,
Yeah.
but again, she does not do much physical work, man. Like, so it works for her. Like, she couldn't do a push up with me. I asked her, let's hold a plank. Ain't happening. She does not have the strength to do that. And she wasn't very old. Um, so there's a whole bunch of but basically the minute you switch a diet, whether it's you're eating, like even for me right now, man, I introduced some dairy and stuff. I'm lifting more, but again, I know that's just because it's been 3 4 days, right? So you could
Mhm.
also flip that and say, like your friend, oh man, I felt amazing for the first 10 days. Oh, but now the real shit's about to change. So whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, 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 right?
So I think a takeaway could be
Source,
work out
source,
what.
source.
So go and work out what. I'm not going to say don't eat plant based. I'm not going to say don't eat because excess protein, whether it's a plant based protein or a meat based protein, it needs processing by the bones, the kidneys, and the liver. And if you ain't using it, triglycerides stored as fat. So work out what you need. Get
Yes.
online. There's a million calculators. I'm this tall. I weigh this. What's my basal metabolic rate? Okay. Uh,
I'm going through that right now, so
okay.
I'll go
Work
on the
that
journey
out.
with them.
How much exercise do I do? Low level, high level. How much work am I doing? Is it low level, high level? And work out what you need. And over a week, freaking just record it. Send me an email. John, this is what I weigh. This is what I do. This is my exercise level. And it says this. And this is what I've eaten this week. Send it to me. I dare you. I double dare you. And then we'll work
It's
out what you need. And when you've worked that out, you can think quality. Okay,
yeah.
let's remove the chemicals. Let's remove the excess protein. Cannot you eat nothing but brown rice? You get enough protein and amino acids. You get more protein per pound from broccoli than you do from lean steak. Stick that in
Yep.
your pipe.
Well, and to back up the meat eaters, they'll say this. They'll say in, the size of your palm piece of meat, to get that same protein in that piece of meat, you need to eat, 14 barrels full of broccoli, right? So
Yep.
there's a push and take
Yeah.
for everybody, and John and I are not saying it's this or that. It's do your
No.
own research. And I'm a week into exactly what John said, man. I've been on this journey for 10 years. I have never tracked shit. I've never had to, due to my body size and whatnot. But for where I'm wanting to go, now I'm going, okay, let's go a little further down this rabbit hole. And hey, man, can I lift another 30 pounds? Not that I need to.
Yep.
If I was doing something different, which would be trying to get more calories in
Yeah.
and some more protein, right? So,
Now,
but
yeah,
it is a whole journey just tracking. It's crazy.
there
It's
is
a
a
new
challenge.
science.
If you want to do it plant-based, it can be a challenge, but there's pros and cons. You eat the vegetables, it gets easily digested. It's nutrient dense. It's a whole food. It goes through a piece of meat, sits in your gut for months, maybe. But
Yeah,
this is my
definitely.
experience. But I'm sure we will bounce back and forwards over and over and over again. Tomorrow we're going to have another subject. Um, Holy shit! I've just had a nutrition question come in from a friend. Uh, but we're going to bounce back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all the time. And
Perfect.
you pull out the bits you like. Go away, try it, do an experiment, and let us know what goes on. Send some questions in, and we will do
And
our best.
again, you're just us and our community and the viewers. We're just trying to be better than we were yesterday.
Yeah,
It's that simple.
baby steps, learning daily,
So simple.
growing. From us, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. We know you've all had a long weekend and you may have been doing other things, but there's no excuse not to tune in right now. Let your friends know there's a bit of a series coming along. Ask some questions, and we do appreciate your time. So wherever you are, thank you. Is that
We
it?
appreciate you could be anywhere in the world, and you're right here with us.
Cheers. Thank you. Bye bye.